Let me be honest real quick. For Choo-Choo Charles, man, this was a fun Friday night. That's probably the best way I can describe this game. A fun Friday night. And I say that because it's short, sweet, to the point, and it's very clear in what it sets out to do. I believe for me, I spent, I want to say 2 to 4 hours on this game. It's really not long. I could be misremembering, but from what I recall from my playthrough, 2 to 4 hours, and I could be thinking of howtobeat.com when I think of the time, because I believe for the main story it's around 2 hours, and then for completionists it's around 4 hours. So that's why it's a fun Friday night. It doesn't take very long to beat this game. You can get as much out of it as you want, and for the rest of it, just have fun with it. Just kind of chill out with it. The genre is kind of like a horror / action, the way it's set up. And you might ask yourself, like, well, how do you really, how do you kind of do that with such a short game? And I think it's cool how they started it. You start out as going to this island, this deserted island, and on this island, for lack of a better term, it is haunted. So you get to this island, and the locals are letting you know, like, hey, this is what's going on. There's a super, it's really, to me, I laughed at it. Like, I thought the premise was just kind of like silly. I was like, what? There's a haunted train that, it rides and eats people, and that is literally the shortest synopsis I can give of this game. Getting more into it, you find out that Charlie is, not of this world. And I'm kind of talking around myself to kind of not spoil everything for you guys. But he's kind of not of this world. And so you got to figure out the mysteries of where he's from. Is there more of him? Why is he doing this? Etc. So I think, to be able to tell that in these few hours that it takes to beat this game is probably, I think that should get some accommodation on its own. Like, these developers did tell the story nice, short, and sweet. I got it. I wasn't lost. I didn't have questions at the end. I think the only thing you want to kind of consider is that when you there's a couple I want to say gripes I had with the game. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but the game to me kind of felt more like a beta in a way. And it could be that they did not put a lot of time into this game to really make it as detailed as, you would some other style games. One example that I saw, it kind of bugged me at first, but in the end I was like, this is like an indie game. It's not that bad. You'll notice that the mouths don't really move for the other humans that you run into. You'll talk to them right in their face, and it kind of looks like you guys are telepathically communicating, which is kind of funny. But I know some people, when they get really into it, they're like, nah, man, like, that's, unacceptable. They got to get out of here. I'm not playing the rest of this game. It's really not that bad. I think that's like the main gripe I had. I got a couple critiques, actually, but I think that's the main one I had. Other than that, I mean, in my opinion, Charles could have showed up a couple more times. I think it would have added to the danger. There are parts where for the other humans on the island, you got to do some sub stories. So you got to kind of consider that. And when you think of that, Charles shouldn't show up during those side missions. It would make it a little harder. But who knows? I mean, some people find that fun. You in the middle of a side quest, getting chased by ghosts, and all of a sudden Charles is popping up on the other end of the tunnel that that you're trying to get to. Some people like that. Some people like that much of a horror aspect, but you're not really going to get it here. I think it would kind of make the story a little longer, but that's just not what they're trying to tell here. They're just, like I said, short and sweet. So, all in all, sometimes it would have been cool to see him pop up a little bit more, but at the end of the day, play the game again. It's play it on a harder on a harder mode. It did kind of just take away from the sense of danger just a smidge though, but I do think that it was unique, and you're not carrying weapons around. And if you see enemies that are shooting at you, you have to run back to your train. Your train can't derail. You got to kind of use the rail system all around the island. So you got to use the weapons on the train to kind of like attack those humans, and you got to poke your head out while they're shooting at you. Take the risk, but you could also come back later and kind of fight them. But for me, minigun was king. I just I kind of like kited them over to me using my league talk. I kited them over to the train. Once they got close enough, yeah, I mean I got hurt, but just mowed them down at that point. It was yeah, I got the concept. Some guns don't feel needed though when you're fighting the humans and when you're fighting Charles. Like, I kind of get what they did with some of them. Like, they tried to make it be a little diverse, but like the flamethrower didn't really feel like it slowed down Charles really, and that was what it was for. It was supposed to slow him down. That's the whole point of the flamethrower. And other weapons have their own little perk that they're supposed to go with, but for me the perks didn't really line up like that. So like I think you get like 3 or 4 weapons, and my main rotation, because guns overheat, it was like use the flamethrower real quick, and as he's just burning there for a couple seconds, switch back to my minigun. And that was all I did. I just switched between those two, and eventually Charles would go away. So I didn't really have to think of everything else that I needed to use. And eventually, instead of the minigun, I used the there's a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher that you get that you could put on as well. So yeah, it definitely helped a lot in my opinion. Upgrades are simple. That's good and bad for some people. Good for me because I don't want to think about it the whole time. I don't really need RPG elements in this short and sweet story. Some people like that stuff. I'm okay with it. It didn't take away from the short time that I had. So all in all, like I said, fun Friday night. Didn't really bother me. I'd probably give it like a. If I thought about my main critiques, Charles doesn't show up often. Some guns don't feel needed. I guess I'd give it like a 4 out of 5. And I'm rating this in like an indie game kind of realm. I kind of think of it like that, as an indie game. If I was to tick it again, it would be that the mouths wouldn't move. So I'd say like 3.5 to 4 out of 5 for an indie game. Short, sweet, fun Friday, and I think you would enjoy it as well. It's not that scary, I promise. He's not going to make you doo-doo your pants. So you can have a little fun with it. You might feel the adrenaline, the first couple times you start to hear Charles, his him tooting down the mountain, because he can derail. You can't. He has spider legs. But yeah, I guess just see the rest for yourself. It's a pretty interesting game. So have fun with it. Enjoy the journey, and hope y'all like this video. Take care.